Yo, what's up guys? Universal Mastery. So what I do on my channel is I break down the occult sciences so that you can use them in your day-to-day life and get real practical results. So what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is why do you keep seeing certain numbers all the time and what exactly do they mean? Stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is definitely go and check out the Patreon. The Patreon is going to be the first link in the description, and what I have on there is an exclusive video weekly that is not going to be on my YouTube channel. And in order to gain access to that exclusive video, you have to be a tier 2 or up. And in order to be a tier 2 or up, it is going to cost $9.95 a month, which literally equates to less than $1 a day. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford that. And you're also going to gain access to conversate with me whenever you want about the occult. And I already have a lot of powerful content that's on my Patreon in the first place. Okay, so go and check that out. First link in the description. And I want to give a special shout out to the top tier members already. Their names are going to be right below the link for the Patreon. But other than that, I'm going to go right into the video. So what are some very common numbers that you see all the time? Okay, so I'm going to start with a number that I used to see all the time and I still do see all the time. And that's the number 47. So those of you who follow me on Instagram, you're going to see that my Instagram handle is JR47. I've been seeing this number for the past 7 years, which is funny, 7. But let's talk about some common numbers. Okay, so you take 4 plus 7, that's going to equal 11. A lot of people see the number 11. A lot of people see the number 1111. A lot of people see the number 33. A lot of people see the number 44. A lot of people see these numbers. Okay, so whatever the number is, there is going to be a significant meaning to it. Now, what can I tell you exactly what the meaning of that number is? The answer to that question is no. And the reason is because more than the exact meaning of what that number is, it is more so a certain type of knowing. It is a certain type of principle or what's the word? A symbol behind that number. So for example, that number has some form of very broad but very widespread you could say meaning to it. So for example, like we could take the number 11 and we could equate that number to meaning spirituality. So I could sit here and I could tell you every time you see that number, that means that something spiritual is happening. Okay, but like what am I doing there? We're just scratching the surface. This is not giving you any clear, in-depth knowing of what exactly that number is. And I'm sure you watching this, you're like, what does it mean? What does it actually mean? So this is the truth. When you see numbers often and when you see numbers repetitively like that's a good sign. That means that you are spiritually aware. That means you are able to see through a certain type of veil. And once again, this veil is numerology. Okay, this is a form of communication with your higher self and with the divine in general, with spirits in general. Okay, you're able to communicate through that. Now, just alone, you being able to recognize and be aware of numbers, that's something that not everybody has. So go ahead and soak that in for a second. Realize that is an ability and that is something that's very important for you. Now, there is a certain type of responsibility that comes with that ability. Okay? So the responsibility behind it is the fact that there really is no set in stone, definite, this is exactly what that number means to every single person that's out there. The truth and the fact of the matter is that you have to be able to figure out what it means to you. So you have to literally assign a meaning to that number so that whenever you see that number, you know what it means to you. And just because it means that to you doesn't mean that that is the necessary universal meaning for every other person that may be seeing that number. So now your question might be, well, how do I know like what I'm gonna, how do I how do I really do that? I don't feel comfortable putting a meaning to something that I'm not even 100% sure. Okay, well, this is where it can come in handy when you start to work with spirits, when you start to work with daemons, when you start to really communicate with your higher self. You can ask your spirit guides, and you can say, what does this number mean? Like, what is the significance of this number in my life? And you know, as long as you know how to do an invocation, or if you know how to do an evocation, you know how to communicate with your spirit guides, then you will be able to gain that answer. Now, if you don't know how to do that, definitely go and check out my Patreon. I have a step-by-step breakdown video of exactly how to do an invocation on my Patreon. So make sure you check that out. But once again, if you know how to do that, and you know how to listen to that knowing that's in you, that intuition, that intuitive sense that you have, then you can ask what the meaning and the significance of that number is in your life. And when you receive an answer, that is your answer. So I would definitely recommend writing that down, so that every time you see that number moving ahead in your future, you're gonna know what that really means to you. So for example, what I did with my number 47 is I was seeing this number for literally 7 to 8 years, but this was 2 years ago when I received this answer. So around that time, I think it was like 6 years ago. It was like 6 years I've been seeing this number. And I never knew really what it meant. All I knew is that I'm seeing this number, there's a really big importance to it, and it's crazy that I see it the way I see it. Like literally, like from my license, from my driver's license to the number that like I get called like to wait in line for something, I'm always like, something with 47 is always attributed to it, and I'm always seeing it. And it's like to the point where there's no reason why I'm seeing it so often. There has to be some deeper meaning to it. And I know that there's people that are watching this that are completely resonating with what I'm saying, maybe with a different number. But yeah, so you know, I got to a point where this is when I first started working with spirits, and I was specifically working with Lucifer on this one. And I asked, you know, I said, what does this number mean? And I received a very clear answer. You know, I did my invocation and I listened to what I was being told, and what he said was relationship. It means relationship. So I had to sit on that for a second. I had to say, what do you mean relationship? Like, I'm gonna be in a relationship, or what what resonated with me at the time, with the context of where I was and how I was approaching it, is that it meant that I was building a relationship with my spirit guides, with my ancestors, with my truest power, and with my own higher self, with the spiritual aspects of who I am as a person. I could resonate with that. I felt that. That's what it meant when it said relationship. And keep in mind, this is literally right around the time when I finally figured out and I asked what that number meant. After seeing it for 6 years, it meant relationship. So every time I was seeing that number, it was showing me a sign that I need to get more in touch with my spiritual, with the spiritual, occult, hidden aspects of myself. And I never knew it for so long. I spent a lot of time kind of distracting myself, doing things that I probably shouldn't have been doing. Let alone, you know, I transmuted all that stuff into, you know, extra gnosis and power and strength and wisdom and things like that. But I could have been going down a different path a long time ago. But, you know, I caught on eventually, and now I'm sitting here, I'm invoking Lucifer, and then I ask, and it means relationship. So I write that down. So now every time I see that number, I'm attributing it to a spiritual aspect of myself, or something that I need to invite in my life. So let's say I'm driving and I'm thinking about something. Let's say there's something that's very important that I'm thinking about, and I might be onto something. Maybe I'm thinking about something that's going to unlock some other perceptions or some other knowings in my life that are going to be beneficial for me, that are important for me to understand. And then I see the number 47. That's like an extra push that says, yes, you are on the right track. Okay, you are moving in the right direction. This is exactly what you're supposed to be, you know, thinking of, and you're moving in the right direction. Keep going down that path. You're unlocking a spiritual aspect of yourself. You're strengthening that relationship with the divine, with your spiritual aspects, with the occult aspects of who you are. So that's what I attribute it to. So that is the message of this video. There is no one specific meaning. There's broad meanings for certain things. So for example, if you see the number 11 a lot, or 1111, that typically means that there's some form of a gateway. There's some form of opening, some form of opportunity that is presenting itself or in the moment that is very important and can reap a lot of reward and benefit for you. But I can't tell you exactly what that opportunity is. I can't tell you what exactly it specifically in-depth means exactly for you. That's something you're gonna have to do for yourself. So whenever you have these numbers that you see very often, yes, there can be very broad descriptions of certain numbers. And this is where it can come in handy when you start to study the tarot deck, because you can figure out what numbers mean what. In a general sense, like for example, like 5 has a lot of attributes towards transformation, you know, and things in that nature. But once again, just because things are more geared towards transformation, that's very, for that number 5, that's very broad. I can't tell you what exactly it is that you need to transform, or how exactly that's going to find itself or apply itself in your own personal life. That's something that you're gonna have to figure out, and maybe that number means something different for you. Maybe it doesn't mean transformation. I don't know. That's something you're gonna have to figure out on your own and for yourself. This is where that responsibility comes in, where you assign these numbers the meanings that they mean to you. And once again, that can get a little bit like, you can get a little bit of anxiety from thinking that, like, oh my gosh, I gotta put meanings to all these numbers. Once again, you can do invocations with spirits and figure that out. You can ask them to help give you clarity, or by all means, if you feel like you have a strong connection with you know, the spiritual aspects of who you are and your higher self and things of that nature, then go ahead and go with your first intuitive knowing. Go with your first guess, what you feel like it means to you, and write it down so that you solidify it and that you know, so that whenever that number shows up, it can have a lot more purpose to it, because now you know what that means in your life. Okay, and you can navigate through life a lot quicker. So other than that, I'm going to leave it here. I hope this video could offer you value. Definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because I'm posting videos as often as I can. And definitely make sure you check out the Patreon. The link for that is going to be at the top of the description. It's going to be that first link. Then you go to the link below that. That's going to take you to the Streamlabs merch, where I have a very powerful Hecate sigil shirt, and you basically place your order and they will ship it right to your door. Then you go to the link below that. That's going to be the third link down. That's going to take you to my Facebook community, where you go to the Facebook community. There's going to be a pinned post that says click this to get to the private group. Request to join the private group. I'm going to be posting a little bit of extra content there in the form of pictures and quotes, and, you know, getting a bunch of like-minded people together so that we can have some powerful conversations. Okay, so definitely check that out. Other than that, I will see you guys on the next video. Love you and peace.